Happy New Year.
Happy New Year!
Woo!
Yay!
Yay, 2024. Yeah, it's been a little while since we've done an episode. Took a little hiatus.
Been a little busy.
Been a little busy. No, that's a bad excuse.
That's a bad excuse.
But no, we're back. Welcome back to the Two Node Show. We are going to be back a little bit more regularly for the year. That's the goal.
As you can see, the set's all set
I know.
beautifully again.
We're back. We're back in the studio. So, but no, it's good. It's good. We've got some plans for the year. We're really excited for everything. So yeah, we're really excited for everything that we got planned for the year, especially around the show. We want to really to grow this and make it a part of the weekly schedule. So yeah, we're going to be our excited.
Main focus this year, which is
cool. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so it's Christmas, New Year's. How was everything? How you been?
It was good. It was busy. We went away. Byron, you were there.
I was there. I was there.
Yeah, it was nice to relax. We actually got a few days off, so that was good.
Yeah. It wasn't long enough. It never is, but it always feels like with you get, if you've only got a week, it sort of takes about a week to start winding down, and then by the time you actually wind down, it's time to go back to work. But that's the joys.
That middle week, like I know everyone talks about it and everyone has it. Like when you don't know what day it is.
I didn't know what day it was. One of the days.
You didn't even know what day it was yesterday.
What day is today?
We're still in that week.
We're still, I know. We're like sort of back at work, but it's still, I haven't like grasped the days yet.
But what is that? Is it just because Christmas falls on random days?
I think it's just like I'm no longer.
It's such freedom.
Okay, I think I've figured it. Yeah, it's so good.
It's so
I think I've figured it out. I think it's like I'm no longer gauging the days on the day of the week. It's like, is it Christmas? Is it Christmas Eve? Is it Boxing Day? Or is it New Year's? Or is it New Year's Eve? They're my new.
There's no more Friday, Saturday.
There's no Monday, Friday. There's no Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I think that's it.
And then Christmas this year, Christmas was on a Monday for us in Australia. So it was like, but we just had the weekend. But then we're.
It's a really confusing experience,
but also free at the same time.
Yeah, no, it's good. Well, with that being said, we'll roll the intro and then we'll get into today's topic. Well, look, today's episode we were going to talk about like we were humming and hawing whether or not we do an episode on like goal setting and like New Year's resolutions and things like that, because it's like it is kind of like a cliche at this point. It is kind of like a corny self-help thing to do, New Year's resolutions, things like that. But we have been taking goal setting a lot more seriously recently, and we thought it'd be a good opportunity to kind of share what we've been learning, what we've implemented, where we've gone wrong as well. Because obviously we've made a lot of mistakes when it comes to goals. We've sort of fallen into that category of like why most New Year's resolutions don't come true. But I'm hoping that this year, with everything that we've learnt, we will have a better year when it comes to goals this year.
Can I just say one thing? I am so glad 2023 is over.
Didn't have a good year? I didn't think it was that good of a year.
This is like like when you turn 31, you're not 30, you're over the 30s and you're 30. It's not 35, you're just 31.
Yeah, it felt like a bit of an in-between year. It was like, nothing. Yeah.
But it was like also the year, that we just learned a lot.
Yeah, it felt like the year of learning for us, and I'm kind of over. I'm kind of like over the whole learning, the lessons and everything like that, and I'm ready to just start putting some things into action.
Yeah, it felt like every time it was like, okay, this is another lesson. We have to.
Yeah, it was almost the year of like failures, which I'm not going to class as like a bad thing, because we've talked about failure a fair bit on this podcast, but it was the year of trying a lot of things and figuring out what we like don't want to do as well, which is definitely not a bad thing. But I feel like this year is probably going to be a I don't feel like we'll be saying that again next year.
Yeah.
So with goal setting, everyone's kind of heard the it's kind of like the cliche thing to say with New Year's resolutions. We all know that they generally are known to like not work, right? It's like I think it's like 9% of people who set New Year's resolutions actually accomplish them or achieve them. So we want to help the people listening in not becoming part of that statistics, because what a lot of people don't realize is that of that statistic, the people that actually
you told me that yesterday when we were doing the notes, and I actually thought that was quite fascinating. So what you said was 10% of those 9%. Is that right?
Okay, so let me recount the fact.
I'm bad at the facts. That's what you're for.
So of people that set New Year's resolutions, only like 9% or 10% actually achieve them. But what people don't realize is that the people who actually wrote them down were still 10% was still 10 times more likely to achieve them than those who didn't. So it's like, although it is a small percentage of people who actually achieve them, you're still so much better at least doing them, writing them down, and you're still like 10 times better off than people.
You're still getting 10x.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, but there's definitely a little bit of a method to the madness when it comes to goal setting, which we definitely want to go through today. And we do want to also make it like, we're not going to go like too deep. We want to make it so it's because it's not.
And everyone's so different. Like everyone does it all very different. Who you listen to depends how serious you want to be about it. All the Insta girls do the vision boards, and like I did my own vision board this year actually.
You did?
So I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Cool.
I actually felt good doing it. I think it's got a little secret in there. I think they're not just, I want to be on private jets all year.
Just No, I'll be honest. I have almost always thought that vision boards were kind of dumb, but recently I have been seeing a lot more people that I would class as successful or people that I look up to and things like that, and they definitely and they seem to do vision boards. Obviously, it's not the be all and end all, but there seems to be something to it, and I don't know if it's just like putting it on a board and then just wishing it would happen, or they're the kind of people that make that shit happen. I don't really know.
Well, I think also too, in front of mine, what's that saying? Front of mind for saying.
I don't think that's a saying.
You know how you put it in the front of your mind and then you're gonna do it.
Oh, you just make it front of mind. Is that the?
Isn't there a saying that you say that?
Do I say it?
No, I don't know. You say heaps of stuff. Isn't that like front of mind?
I don't know if that's a saying. I think it's just like you've when you put something on a vision board, you just make it front of mind, and then it's just like where you put your attention or where you put your focus.
Yeah, like if you see it every day, I feel like that's really going to help you achieve, that vision way more clearly.
Yeah, but I think it's like a lot of it is because this is where my issue with like manifestation comes in, is like people that just think that if you manifest something, it'll just will itself into existence. I think that the people that have those sort of things come true, when you hear of like athletes and stuff like that, and they're like, I envisioned this since day one and it was me becoming a champion or whatever. And it's like, yeah, but you've worked your fucking ass off for that. Like, it's not just putting it on a board and then just going like, I'm hoping for a Ferrari. And it's like, no, it's like, you've got to work for it. But it's been putting it on the board, making it front of mind. And then I think that there is an element of the universe doing its thing. And I can't explain that with science or anything. I think that a lot of it is just energy, intention, focus, and action. But then there's a little bit of like something that I couldn't understand.
The universe just goes, well, you clearly want this.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the best example, we actually saw this the other day, was from Simon Beard, who's the founder of Culture Kings, and he put up on his stories that he put on his vision board he wanted the boat from the Purple Lamborghini music video from Skrillex and Recourses, I think it was, I can't remember. And he was looking around for that boat. He put it on his vision board, and then years later, once he'd sold Culture Kings, he was looking for that boat, and he didn't realize that like he knew that he wanted that model of the boat, and he'd ordered it and bought it already. He didn't actually know that it was the actual one from the music
And
video.
it was the middle of COVID. There's only like 6 in the world.
Crazy.
And so and then they're like, oh, just so you know, did you know this boat was in a movie clip?
Yeah, it is like, what? Like, that's insane.
That's
and
the universe part.
That's the little universe part.
The little
Worked his ass off,
yeah,
earned it to actually be in a position to afford a boat like that. But then the universe was like, you want the actual one from the music video? Here you go.
Well, the universe has you back always, I believe. But the number one thing I think in context of what you're saying is the universe needs you. You need to prove that you not deserve it, but you need to, go through the hard times or put the hard work in to be able to be given those rewards, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you got to learn all the lessons. You got to, like, I truly think that our whole purpose of being like a human being is to grow and, become a better version of ourselves and everything like that. It's like, we're supposed to get as far away from being human animals to human beings, if that makes sense. So it's like, and the way that we do that is we continually learn, we continually fail, we continually upskill, and you continue to just do that through the game of life until you move on and do whatever else afterwards. But yeah, I think that's definitely the whole point. And if you do take that outlook on life, I think the universe will definitely have you back.
Well, yeah, I don't think a lot of people don't realize is humans, like, we literally like moving forward. Like that's why they call it your higher self, like getting higher, or like, yeah, we actually enjoy moving forward, which is why obviously goals and things like that and progress is really like good to humans. Like, we're like, yeah, let's, that's why even if you have a list of just make your bed, or, as little as those little, self-help stuff helps when you're starting out, it actually really does help because humans love that progression.
I think we need it.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's like we love it. I think it's like a need. I've seen it so many times with clients in the past where it's like they've stopped feeling some sort of progress in their life, and then it just literally crumbles around them. Their life just falls apart and they fall into a depression and things like that. And then you also see the same when it's like, I feel like everyone has a similar story where they had like a grandparent or something that was quite healthy and quite mobile and was still getting around and doing things, and then maybe their partner passes away, and then they're more alone. They don't have a community anymore. They don't have their partner that they've been with their entire lives, and then we see it every time. It's like they just go downhill and they age super quickly and they pass not long after that. I feel like everyone's kind of got that story, and I think that's that they don't feel that progress anymore. They don't have that community either. So,
and also with like when people retire, like, people think, oh, the best thing to retire is at 34, but you literally crumble. Like, I know it sounds really good not to work, but like we need that sense of like progress and like doing something.
In Japan, they don't even have the word retirement. Like, it's just not a word. It's like there is no such thing as you just finish work. You might not work a job anymore, but within your community, you have a role to play, and you always are doing something. And they have some of like the longest life expectancy. The blue zones.
Blue zones,
yeah. They have some of like the most. They have a lot of blue zones because there's always that sense of community. There's always that sense of like working, and like we need work. This idea of like retiring on a beach and just sipping margaritas and stuff like that. Like, I think that that's a fantasy that we all have, but then once it happens, you just bore yourself to tears after a few months, and then you're like, I've got to do something.
There's only so many margaritas, I reckon. I get pretty over it pretty quick.
Yeah. You need something to do.
A lot.
You spin yourself out really quickly.
Okay, so first things first. So figuring out where you're trying to go.
Yeah, so when it comes to like goal setting, one of the best
start of the year, what am I doing?
Start of the year, all right, let's role play this here. It's the start of the year and you're like, I want to actually set out to like achieve something this year. I feel like last year I didn't really achieve what I wanted to do, and it's like all these years just keep passing me by and I'm not getting where I want to go. The first thing is like, think of this as like the big bird's eye view. And this is where you want to sort of get what you'd refer to as like your vision, 5-year vision, 10-year vision. This is just like getting a general understanding of where you would like to go. Like, what does your life look like in 5 or 10 years? And if you sit down and you take the time to do that and you just write that down, and whether or not it completely ends up something different, that's not really the point. Like, obviously, our lives change so much on a year-to-year basis. Like, I remember even last year, the goals that I set at the start of the year, I couldn't have really anticipated where I was at the end of the year because so many things changed in between. It's not the point to be like very literal here, but it's to get a direction. You know, it's taking the blindfold off so you're not throwing darts at a, you know, trying to hit a bullseye with a blindfold on. You just want to take the blindfold off. Taking the time to do that and just getting a broad understanding of where you want to be in 5 or 10 years.
So just 5 and 10, not 1 year as well?
So 1 year is where the goal will come in.
Oh, okay.
So you've got like the 5 or 10 year vision,
Mm-hmm.
which is like where you generally want your life to end up, what your career looks like, what your family life looks like, what your fitness life looks like what your fitness is like, what you've achieved with things like that. From there, like if you take the time to do that, you're ahead of 99% of people. Like most people are just going through life on a whim and just hoping that their life turns into the sort of life that they want. And I just don't think, I mean, sure, there's going to be many examples where that happens, but I think most people that get what they want engineer that. So that's kind of like the first thing, is getting a broad idea of like where you kind of want to go. From there, you want to break down, you want to basically work out your goals for the year and that are going to align with the long-term vision, right? So it's like if you're in your 10-year vision, you're like, I've built this business, I've got all these employees, I'm turning over this much revenue. Well, it's like, well, what goal can I set this year that's going to get me somewhere closer to that vision? And the reason that we don't want to do goals too far out is like what I just said before, is like things change too quickly. It's like, I think a year is like the max you want to go with a goal, because again, it's like you just don't know what's going to change on a day-to-day, but it's like a year is manageable. And what we'll get to in a second here is you want to break it down even further than that into sort of quarterly and then weekly tasks. But
I'll just chime in on the 1 year goal. So what really helped me is you were helping me because I was getting a little like confused and like you start overthinking it, which I do straight away.
all the time.
But you helped me by saying, okay, because we did it before the end of the year, so it worked really well. You said, picture this, sitting where you are, exactly where you are, but in 2024. What do you want to feel?
What are you celebrating?
Yeah, what are you celebrating? So looking back at your year, what did you do?
Yep.
And that really helped me understand, I would feel amazing if I'd achieved this, and this, that like I wasn't stressed with work. I was, like I'm not going to go through it, but just really helped. What am I celebrating? Sitting down, ready for Christmas to have a really, a beautiful new year coming in to 2025. So how crazy is that? That's those weird movie years.
2025 is like Back to the Future. I think Back to the Future I think we're even past the future of the Back to the Future.
Yeah.
How fucking crazy is that?
Like
2025, I thought we would have been. I
swear that was in like Alex Mack on the Nickelodeon show. Like it was like,
what show is that?
oh, it's just where she turned into slime. But I swear, 2025 was like so far in the future. I thought that was like.
I know that like we've got AI coming and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, sweet. Like finally something futuristic. But like I thought we would have had flying cars. I thought we would have been wearing like silver chrome jackets with like neon tie-up shoelaces like the ones from Back to the Future, and it's just
and like you only eat out of microwaves.
So normal.
Remember
like,
Keenan and Kel with the future episodes, and they were like they wore like all the silver stuff, and like the food only got made in the microwave, but then it turned into a whole meal.
Is Keenan and Kel Nickelodeon? Yeah. Okay, you're gonna come at me with
no,
all
Disney.
these. Okay,
Disney.
I'm gonna.
Nickelodeon.
If you're going to start throwing out Nickelodeon and Disney references, I might not get a lot of them. You might be on the wrong pod. But yeah, so going back to what you're saying, exactly that. You want to think about like, well, 12 months from now, if I was in this position and we're going into 2025, it's like, what am I celebrating? Like, what do I want to look back at and have achieved? And you want to make sure, again, like I said, is that are those goals that you achieved, aligning with your long-term vision. And that's just really just getting a pretty broad idea of what you want your life to look like,
And
and
just
just
again,
being a little bit more intentional.
yeah, and just again, if you're anything like me and you overthink things, just break it down. Like another thing you told me today was go that little bit extra. Like say you're saying I want to run 10K,
Mhm.
write down 15K.
Yeah.
And then just so you know that you'll scrape in just underneath, but it's really above.
Well, yeah, I mean, we were going to talk about like, well, number one, we'll get into in a moment like where we've gone wrong with goals in the past. But if we were to look back on my last year, like a big goal for me that I've always had was to run a marathon, and I did achieve that. And I was like, why did I achieve that? Why was that such a successful? Because by all accounts, like everything that we've run through in terms of that we're going to run through today with when it comes to goal setting, it kind of ticked all the boxes off, and it was like, yeah, that was a big win, just a big win. And for me, every time I locked in some sort of goal when it came to running, it was always just outside of what I thought was possible. I remember talking to Cam, who's my brother-in-law, who was helping me with like the running and the training program and everything like that. And I said it when I signed up for a 12K, and I couldn't run it all. And I was like, it's I've got 6 weeks. I'm like, is that even possible? And he's like, yeah, just don't worry about it. And then lo and behold, we did it. And then I did the same with the marathon. I'm like, oh God, I've only got like 4 or 5 months here, and I can only run 10 or 12K. And it's like, is that going to be long enough? He's like, yeah, don't worry about it. And then every time it's like, and I think that's good with all goals, is always make it just a little bit outside of what you think is in the realm of possibility. And with that, it's going to really push you to, it's not so big that it feels overwhelming, because if you do set a goal that's too large, like if I said in a year from now I want to be earning 10, something ridiculous, it's like, well, I'm not even going to bother. But
Yeah,
if you,
it's just too far out of your reach, so you just don't.
too
It's
far out
not
of your reach, yeah.
in your reality.
Okay, so with goal setting,
Now once you've set your 1 year, we've got to now. So now you want to divide that up, right?
yeah, so first of all, before you can even get into like how you want to divide it up, you need to get really clear on what your goals are, and you need to prioritize relentlessly. Like that's one of the bigger traps that we've fell into in the past. I know I have, at least. And that is, I just set too many goals. We only have so much time a day. You only have so much energy that you can allocate to each thing. And when you're trying to do two things, do too many things, you just generally end up not doing any of them. And so a good exercise for this, which is something that Warren Buffett, which I got from Warren Buffett, which is write down 25 things that you want to do, 25 goals.
Could be anything, yeah?
Could be anything. Doesn't matter. Just write down 25 things that you want to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
From there, you circle 5 and you avoid the rest at all costs, because they're going to do nothing but distract you. So I even think that 5 is even a little bit too many. I genuinely think that, and I don't know, I'll get your opinion on this. I think that 3 big goals, and when I say big goals, I'm talking like the big career goal. Maybe again, like I'm doing another marathon this year. That's like another big thing that takes up a lot of your time, and then maybe one more. Some littler goals that I do have, which I wouldn't call big goal, was like a goal for us to sit down once a week and do our weekly catch up, and like check in on our relationship and see how we're doing with our goals and everything like that. That's like a goal of mine, but it's not taking up a ton of my time. It's not taking up a ton of my energy. So I do have littler goals like that, but I think 3 big main ones.
So you just so you write down all 25 on a piece of paper and like prioritize which one. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So from there, once you've figured out where you want to go, you've prioritized what goals you want, and ideally you kind of want to, if you want to kind of like break those 5 goals down into like different areas in your life. So whether that's like relationships, career, business, finance, whatever you want to do, right? I think it's just better that way, as opposed to doing like 5 fitness goals. I think that would get a little bit overwhelming. And again, it's like where can you put your time and your energy? from there, really what you want to do is like just to keep it as simple as possible to make it feel more manageable and not like this. It's kind of like the idea of like, say you wanted to like climb Mount Everest and you're trying to think about, you're looking up and you're like, holy shit, like we got so far to go. You want to like have little milestones, like when you like get to base camp and when you get to a certain level, and it's like you're chunking it down. And I think I've found the easiest way to do that is in like 90-day goals or 90-day milestones rather. So it's like every 3 months you've got a little milestone along the way that you can sort of look to, that are like little small wins along the way, that if you continue to hit those 4 milestones, by the end of the year you'll hit your goal. And that's kind of it, really. Like we don't have to, like, I think simple is better than anything when it comes to this stuff. The big thing that I think that most people, and I know this is where we've failed in the past, and I think where this whole like this idea of where most people's New Year's resolutions just fail, is they don't have a system in place to review their goals.
Well, this was our biggest learning of 2023 is when we had the system in place, you just don't stick to it, of reviewing, our 90-day goals, how we're tracking, what's happening, and like make it fun. I think the main part of we made that like because we love going to have a coffee and going to, so we made sure we went to a new cafe and a new spot and like make it like a reward that you get to have that meeting every week so that you're actually going to do something about it and it's like fun.
Yeah, 100%. And like it doesn't have to be overly complicated. It's just like, how are we tracking with these goals? And if you're not tracking, it's like, well, why is that? Is there anything that we can do to change that? Is the time that I'm allocating towards, I don't know, whatever that goal might be, is it too big? Is it too much time? Is it conflicting with your current schedule because you got to get the kids to work? Like, what is it? And if so, it's like course correct. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like if you have to sort of change as you go along, that's fine. Again, we're trying to be like directionally correct. We're trying to just overall get a little bit closer to that long-term vision and then the goals at the end of the year. And if you have to change as you go along, I think that's fine. But yeah, put something in place. Put it in the calendar. Go to a cafe every couple of weeks and just pull the laptop out and write it down. And for us, it was a super simple, just like Google Doc, and we would just run it by each other. It's like, how are you going with that?
And it does help to have, obviously we have each other and we understand if you don't have a partner or,
Yeah.
You have your partners don't align with what you're doing or anything like that. But trying to have someone at least that you can check in on each other, I think really helps because it keeps you in that check of like, oh, we have that meeting next week. I better like A, do my goal, or B, let them know I can't be doing it or whatever's going.
Yeah, and again, going back to the marathon thing again, one of the reasons that I think it was a successful goal that I achieved is I had an accountability partner in the form of Cam, my brother-in-law, and it was like he was kind of training me, and it was like every time I do a run, I knew that he would check my Strava, and I was like, I didn't want to let him down, or if he'd put something in my roster of running for the week and then he's like, he doesn't see the Strava come through, he's going to be like, you know what I mean? And I think that that's super important. What I will say though, which has been shown to be not effective, is just blatantly putting your goals out into the world on social media and thinking that that's kind of a version of an accountability partner, when in reality, what they've shown is it kind of gives you a premature little hit of dopamine, and it feels good, and it feels like you've kind of achieved the goal when you haven't really done anything yet. And that's where a lot of people go like, yeah, I'm going to achieve this. And sometimes it's better just to keep your goals to yourself.
Well, I think we learnt that last year too, because you're going to, online, you're kind of like, I'm going to do this. I promise to do this. We promise to do a show every week, And then you're not only letting yourself down, you're letting everyone down. And it's like, I don't know, then it makes you feel worse. And then
it turns it, 100%. I think number one is just, if you want to get an accountability partner or something like that, I think that that's really good. But secondly, just chip away in silence, just like do your own thing. You don't have to like announce it to the world. Like just chip away in silence. I think that there's a lot of beauty in that, and you don't have to tell everyone what you're up to, and you let your results sort of speak for themselves.
And also too, just on that accountability side of things, that's where I think like a coach or a guru or someone who you look up to really does play that part for you. Like if you're not quite confident in an area, go learn it. Go ask someone to help you coach together. Like my sister yesterday, she was talking to a guy in a wellness space, and he has a retreat, and she really wants to do a retreat. So like, she just asked him, would you be open to showing me how you set up your retreats? And he's like, yeah, I'd love to. Like just going out and like getting that experience with someone that's already done it before clearly sets you on the path that you want to go to.
Yeah, that's definitely something I've found over, recently, which is like people are generally pretty open to helping you. You just got to ask.
You got to ask.
That's the hard part.
Yeah. You got to be that guy.
You got to be that guy.
Yeah.
And you got to set your ego aside and you got to be like, I'm just going to ask for help here. I think providing value for them in any way, shape, or form that you can is obviously going to be a good thing. But sometimes, like, you just got to ask, and people are like, "Oh, sure, man, I'd be more than happy to help." So
Number one thing for all the women at home, if you want to help your partner, I always find it really funny. I learned on a podcast for a male, they love explaining things to women.
Mate, I could explain things all day. You want to hear about my run today? I can give you the breakdown.
If I ask, and if you genuinely just sit back and go, "How was that? What do you mean by that? What do you do with that run? Where do you go?" And
do you know what the funny thing is? I knew you were doing that. I think you did it to me it was yesterday or the day before, and you're like, "How was the run? How was this? What times did you get?" And I'm like, "I know what you're doing, but I'm still going to explain it."
Boys love explaining things.
I'll explain things all day. It's like
you want my attention? I'll give you my attention.
Yeah. I'll tell you all the deets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes them like you more.
It does. I mean, like, that's kind of it when it comes to goals. I think we have a tendency to want to overcomplicate things. We have a tendency to want to, make it this big thing. But it's like, as a general rule of thumb, figure out where you want to go. Break that down into small enough chunks so that you have an understanding of what you need to do. Put a system in place so that you actually do the things. Focus on the inputs that are going to get you the output. And then review. And that's kind of it. Like, it doesn't have to be overly complicated. But the big thing that I know that we've gone wrong in the past, or I've at least gone wrong in the past when it comes to setting goals, and I'm like, goals don't work, goals are fucking stupid, blah, 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 blah. And that is, I would write in my Apple Notes, I want 100,000 YouTube subscribers. I want to be earning this much money by the end of the year. I want to have traveled to whatever that is. And that's it.
Those are the books.
I'm gonna
put it away to 2025.
Put it away. I'm gonna check that a year from now.
Goal didn't work.
And it's like, oh, goals don't work. Goals are stupid. And it's like, hey man, hey previous Justin, like fucking, like you gotta do something to actually get it. So, I think that's where a lot of this whole narrative around, and I personally, I don't like the term New Year's resolutions. I like the term goals. I like having goals. I think goals are good. New Year's resolutions to me is tainted because it's just so known as something as something that doesn't work. It's like the statistics. The statistics. I really struggle with that word. I struggle with statistics and synthesis. I know you'll struggle with that.
They're very similar.
Protein synthesis. Synthesis. God, what was I saying?
You like New Year's? No, you don't.
No, I don't like New Year's resolutions. But what was I saying about the New Year's resolutions? That's the real question here. Yeah, you weren't listening.
I think one of the big things that I just to tap on like the end there is make the small wins like achievable. Like break it down so easy that if say you do want to go running, just run 100 meters first. Because and you can actually tick it off and progress. Like again, back to what we started the conversation with is humans need progress. Where if I set my goal for I want to run 10Ks and my first run is 5Ks, I'm going to fail and I'm not going to do it again.
100%.
So just make those wins to just get out there and actually just run once a week if you have to. If you're a mum or if you're busy and life gets in the way, and don't break those little promises to yourself. That I think that's number one thing is what I'm learning this year. Last year I broke a lot of promises to myself. So I just constantly believe that I'm never going to achieve anything. But so I'm needing, even if it is just ticking off the 3 things on the top of my list to make sure that I've done, simple tasks like keep my office clean for the day. At least I did that task that I set myself, and then you can do the next big thing. Where people start out with, I want to climb Mount Everest. It's like, well, you can't even go over like
you can't climb
whatever
the hill over the back of your house. 100%. I completely and utterly agree with that. It's the dopamine reward system that we really need to tap into to make this whole process enjoyable. Because the thing is that if the goal's lofty enough, chances are it's going to get really hard. It's going to get really boring because there's going to be some sort of repetitive, monotonous aspect to it, whether it's learning a new skill, whether it's like learning how to edit better, whether it's whatever that might be, earning more money. There's going to be some element of that that's going to become boring once the positivity and that dopamine of the initial start, whenever we start something new, it's like it's fun and exciting, that always wears off. If you have achievable goals along the way that are going to give you the dopamine reward that you're chasing along the way, it's going to be like in Mario when you just like get a little bit further and it's like da-da-da, da-da-da. It's like you haven't beat the level, but you've got a little dopamine hit along the way that makes you feel that feeling of progression and progress. And I think that's going to be like a big decider as to whether or not you achieve a goal.
I just thought of something then while you were saying that. I was like, when you set your goal and you're doing your goal and you're in the crux of it, like running, and it's really hard and it's horrible. Is that maybe what vision boards are for? So like, say you have that vision of, I don't know, and it's like you finishing the marathon, putting that there, but then the goal is the action.
I think so.
Yeah.
Not a vision board expert though. I've never done a vision board.
That makes sense now, doesn't it?
It does.
So like, say when you're in the crux, it's like, I don't know, those movies and they're staring at their wife and they're like, through the hard things.
Is that what they do? Is it?
I love her. They're like, please, I just have to get through 10 years of jail and I get to be with her. Like, do you know what I mean? And they're down through the hard bit, but that's the vision.
Yeah.
And they're envisioning hugging that wife.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. It's just like really like I think you want the vision and the vision board or whatever to evoke some sort of emotion. And it's like, that's where I want to end up. Like, and you get that feeling in your stomach and you're like, God, yeah, fuck. That's what I really want that. How am I going to get there? Start setting goals, start ticking them off, break that goal down into manageable chunks and start just chipping away. And it's that simple.
And if you ever feel like you're not doing enough, watch Project Iceman from Yes Theory.
Yeah. Yeah. But that was
So that's now on YouTube, by the way. So for free, everyone can watch it. I highly, highly recommend it.
I reckon you bring up Project Iceman once a week. You start sitting. I start seeing you like staring out the window, and I'm like, "What's up, man?" And you're just looking at it. You're like, "He just went and fucking did an Ironman in Antarctica or whatever it was."
He had to ride a
bike. Is that now your 10? You want to go and do it?
I won't ruin it for everyone, but the pain that he pushed through.
We should give a little bit of context to people that don't know what we're talking about. So, Yes Theory, check them out on YouTube. They're
one of the best channels.
Yeah, of course, one of the best. And anyways, they funded this documentary and they directed it and did everything. And a guy named Anders, who was just a corporate guy, nothing special about him, he just decided to just quit his job and do an Ironman, which is swimming, riding, and essentially in a marathon. I can't remember how many of each, but it's a really, like, most people do it in like between like 10 and 13 hours on normal land. And he did that was it Antarctica? Antarctica. Insane.
Cheers.
Insane.
And like, yeah. Just when you think you're not doing enough, like Joe, watch that movie.
Yeah.
Like
Or
the-
like just reach higher.
More reach higher. Like you can achieve things if like you're only here once, and look what he got to do.
Yeah. It is like
I just can't get it out. Of
I know you bring it up a lot. Maybe you
It's
need to
really
watch
good.
it again.
I think we should.
Yeah. What are your goals for the year? Do you want to put them out there or
No,
keep
not
'em-
allowed.
Okay, we'll
We
keep them to
gotta
ourselves.
keep 'em.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. I think that's everything on goals. Is there anything else that you want to
The only one we can put out that we want to turn up more, so you'll see us.
for the podcast? Yeah. So, for example, it's like rather than us setting a goal of having X amount of subscribers or X amount of downloads per year, the goal is just to upload once per week. And if we can do that, that'll be a massive win. And that's a good lesson, I think, for setting goals that are within your control. I think a lot of us set goals are like, oh, I want, X amount of subscribers. And it's like you can do everything within your power, but it's still essentially outside of your control. But what is within your control is uploading once a week or making sure that every week gets a little bit better and putting better systems in place and better processes so that it becomes easier and things like that are within your control. And I think they're good goals to set.
Yeah, and our biggest thing this year is 2024 is going to be the year of action. So we learned a lot last year about you can plan as long as you want.
Too much planning.
Planning doesn't matter. As soon as you get to do the thing, you learn it all over again.
Yeah.
So just do the thing.
Just do the thing.
Just do it.
Just do more.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna sideswipe here a little bit. We're gonna onto another segment, and I actually wanted to talk about Taylor Swift.
Taylor.
Yeah.
Oh, good old Taze.
Good old Taze. You a big Taylor Swift fan?
I couldn't tell you one song.
No, but you couldn't tell me one song of anyone. A fun fact about Brie is you don't know one song. Name one song.
Eminem.
That's not a song. You see what I mean?
Ah, damn it.
What's one of Eminem's
Just
songs?
lose it.
Just lose it. Did you like accentuate like the wrong? You accentuated the just. Just lose it.
Just
Lose it. I reckon.
Isn't that how it goes? Just lose it. And Shaggy. That's a song.
That's an artist.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Whoops.
What's one of Shaggy's songs?
I'm banging on the bathroom floor.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
Yeah. How do you remember a lyric, but you don't remember the name of the song?
No, not the names.
No. So, anyways, Taylor Swift, I feel like the reason that I want to talk about her is because obviously she's been like everywhere recently, all around the media, and she's become this almost like this sensation. You'd almost now put her, by the way that people are talking, is like at the level of like Michael fucking Jackson
I was going
or
to say,
something
I
like
think,
that.
isn't she the Michael Jackson of our era now?
That's what people are saying, but I haven't seen her live. I don't listen to her stuff. I'm a little bit confused of the whole thing because I felt like she was always obviously popular and huge, but it's like, don't you reckon in like the last 6 months or something, it's kind of got to a level where people are just losing their fucking minds?
It was only when she went on tour. It was like all of a sudden it's like, you like Taylor Swift? Yeah.
Yeah, she's okay.
Yeah.
She's okay.
She has a few one of those, those
And then like
songs.
now,
I just picture purple for some reason.
purple?
Purple.
What do you mean?
Just purple.
Oh, like just from the one, is that from the
main
trailer?
Song, the first song she ever made.
What's one of her songs? So yeah, the reason that I wanted to like talk about it, I was like, first of all, is like, why has she just ended up this fucking huge thing, and it feels like it's come out of nowhere. But then like the second thing, I want to show you a few videos because I feel like it'll paint a better picture of like what I'm going to talk about in a minute. Is like the fan relationship, like this idolization of musicians and celebrities and things like that. Like I wanted to kind of talk to you about it and see what your take was on it, on whether or not it's like, because I know you were never a big like poster on the wall girl.
I had Eminem. I liked Eminem.
Just lose it. You're a bit of a bad girl, were you? Like I had the Eminem poster.
Yeah. Came free in Delhi.
But yeah, you were never like a huge like you didn't like idolize celebrities when you were like growing up, did you? Like from memory? No. Like a lot of girls, like I know a lot, like even like my sister, like she sort of idolized celebrities and just thought they were the bomb, and a lot of younger people seem to go through that, and then now it looks like, and I know that like we've gone through this before. I mean, God, you've seen it with like Michael Jackson and stuff like that. Like this, the sort of shit that their fans used to do was insane.
Yeah, I was more of a Disney Channel girl.
Yeah,
Nickelodeon,
big Nickelodeon gal.
But like, how old was I?
Yeah, a little bit too old, I reckon. Don't you reckon?
Yeah.
When did you cut off Nickelodeon?
I don't know.
A little too late.
Yeah. Pretty late.
Pretty late. Like, what do you give me? You want to throw an age out there?
I don't remember.
A little too late. But yeah, actually, you know what? Before we get into whether or not it's like healthy or an unhealthy relationship and what our sort of like take is on it, I'll play a few videos and then I'll show you sort of like what we're dealing with here when it comes to like Taylor Swift fans. Fangals.
Okay.
So for a little bit of context here, this is so you know how she released a movie this year and it was just like a concert.
We're gonna watch that.
Well, are we gonna end up Swifties?
After the movie, maybe. Maybe that's how it all happened.
It's part of it. You know, she's now
purple.
Oh, yeah. True. So for context, these clips here are of in the cinema where the movie was playing. In the cinema. So her concert movie, whatever it was, the Eras tour, it played in cinemas. That's not that. You're looking at me like that's.
No, they're all standing up. That's fine.
That's what I'm saying. It turned into like a fucking mosh pit. But this is once the movie had ended. Oh, okay. And they're just singing to themselves. So I'll just play it for you. That is after the fucking. That's a cult. That's a fucking cult, in my opinion. So like that's that, like, right?
Good on them.
I mean, good on them. That's all good and fun.
If they're really young and happy girls, like doing that thing, that's
young
fine.
Happy girls. Yeah. Like that's fine.
Like
I think.
age.
Well, you know, there was definitely. So this is where. So apparently, like because they were selling so many tickets, like Ticketmaster had like a meltdown, and like there were like these young girls that couldn't get their tickets. Right?
Yeah, Australia like sold out in like I don't know 3 seconds or something.
It was. That's what I mean. She's fucking, where is this popularity came from?
First, there was the anticipation. But when the queue opened up to finally buy tickets for Taylor Swift's upcoming stadium tour,
no, what just happened?
her fans, the Swifties, went from freaking out
Are you joking? What?
to melting down.
The tickets you have selected have been released.
The line has stopped moving. The website fully crashed. I waited in line for like 6 hours.
Now, Ticketmaster, the company responsible for selling these tickets.
These girls are losing their fucking minds just because they can't get a ticket.
That would have ruined their week, I reckon.
Their week. All right, we've got one more, and then we'll talk about it.
Taylor Swift fan in disbelief after family surprised her with Eras tour tickets.
That's good news.
That's an insane forehead. I know I'm being very judgmental about looks, but that is insane, dude. Feels fake. The guy behind her. That dude is eating down in that suit. That boy is savoring that suit. Move the camera back over. It's a fake cry, dude. Dumbass fucking white suburban family in middle America. Train filled up with Taylor Swift fans.
You kind of get the point. It's like it's got to this level now where these girls are just like losing their fucking mind, and it's just turned into. it's essentially a cult, right?
Surely.
It feels like a cult.
Feels like a cult. And like just well, that's what Michael Jackson had.
Yeah, it was, but like, I suppose it is. I suppose it is similar.
And like imagine Michael Jackson with the internet. There was no internet.
Yeah,
So,
that's
like,
true.
Imagine Michael
But like,
Jackson with the internet.
what I wonder is like whether or not that is like that idolization, like whether or not that's like a healthy thing for like, especially for young kids. Like that's what I always think about is like they have this fixation with. You right?
I really need a cough.
Real good. But yeah, these young kids have this like fixation with these celebrities, and like I don't know. To me, it just doesn't seem like a healthy thing for a growing mind.
Well, yeah, like what I can't relate at all. Like
No.
even if I seen a Disney chick or Keenan and Kel,
I
like down the street. Probably the only person I have that with it would be like Justin Bieber, but I wouldn't do that.
No, that's what I mean. It's a different. There's obviously most people, if they came across like a mega celebrity, like there's just going to be that level of like, holy shit, like this is crazy. Like it's just, but these people have like, it's like a different level to it because they just idolize them so much and they just love them.
Like rage.
Yeah, like
they
I'd be
need to,
super
like-
curious to talk to a psychologist and just understand what that is, whether or not it's like healthy. It doesn't feel healthy
Doesn't
to me.
feel healthy at all.
No.
Like to like
Yeah.
turn-
Is that all the Swift? Is that a Swiftie fan? Like,
I love Swift.
yeah, to me it doesn't feel healthy. But I mean, like, I don't know a ton
Is
about
she
it.
very?
But
I don't follow her. Is she very active online? Like, what is her mission? So that might come back to her mission. Like,
so I think
is she helping young women with a voice or something like that?
I've got a few sort of like things that I've heard and like my own like sort of hypothesis, and it's like she's really playing the girl next door, right? Like she's not, and she writes all her own stuff. She doesn't have like ghostwriters or whatever, and she's always just talking about very relatable stuff, whether or not you're 10 years old or whether or not you're 35 years old, and it's usually about breakups and stuff like that. Something that young girls can always kind of relate to, and I think she's kind of became the voice for those people. And something that I think that she's done that is pretty smart is she never hypersexualized herself. So it's like when we're in the age of fucking Sam Smith wearing nipple tassels and dressing as a fucking devil, she's out there. She's kind of like, if you look at her, like she kind of dances a little bit lame. Like she's not this like standard, just like Beyonce or just like whatever.
Yeah, she's not shaking her booty and like doing all the
No,
things
like she
and,
does a little bit, but she kind of does it a little bit like she's kind of like a lame kid at heart. And I think that is where it's like the.
Don't they nerds like us then?
Well, hang on. Whoa.
But yeah, I get what you mean. It's more like she's there to give the people who don't have a voice, they feel like they have someone there on her side.
I think so, yeah.
And if you look at it as a brand perspective, she's doing all the things.
Yeah, so that's another thing that I only learnt recently when I was kind of looking into this is like apparently she does a really good job of making her fans feel heard. So it's like if fans come to like a certain amount of concerts, I think she sends them out something. I think she has like an email list. She's always like looking out for her fans. She did the community thing really well. And I mean, it's fucking worked. Apparently, she's worth over $1 billion now. She sold like just on this Eras tour, $300 million worth of merch. Isn't that insane?
That's just merch.
Just merch. The tour itself as a whole grossed over $1 billion, which again, like I can't figure out why this tour in particular is so different to any other tour that either she's done or any other major artist or band has done in the past. It's like, why is this one the big $1 billion? It's now that I think it's the highest grossing tour ever was Elton John. I think she's number 2, and she could have potentially overtaken it since I last saw that stat. But I'm trying to wrap my head around it. Why now?
Well, it must
why?
just be the sheer amount of fans, right?
Yeah, but it's
The hype.
she's done tours before.
Yeah,
Or
but
you
I
just
mean
think it's
after
just the
COVID and,
accumulation.
Yeah, like she's built that brand
Yeah.
so strong that look at them. Like they're
Yeah, they're
so-
losing their fucking minds.
But just on the flip side, imagine going like
On the flip
being
side.
her.
Oh, mate.
You could not like this is where my idea that I want to do is buy an island.
Goal.
Buy an island for famous people. Put really nice stuff on there, and no one can go there with no media except for famous people, and they just go there to live and hang out.
So it's like a zoo for celebrities,
Yeah.
and you can just do what you want.
Do what you want.
They've got like grocery stores there, so it's like, because you know how you always hear it's like all these like major celebrities, and they're like, I just miss going to get a fucking carton of milk, because it's like I can't do that. And that's to go back to your point. I think that's something that like, and we've always talked about this. We've always found the whole topic pretty fascinating, because a lot of people would just look at a celebrity and go, you've got everything. You got hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank. You've got millions of people around that just love you and adore you. You're looked at as like an idol. You've got all of the things, yet a lot of the times they're absolutely miserable. And I think
And
a lot of
lonelier than ever.
lonelier than ever,
Because as
because
soon as money gets involved, there is no friends. There is everyone, no matter how. And like, yeah, building an empire is so different to being just having a bit of money.
massively different. And just like people don't realize, and I've heard this so many times now. I've heard, who was it? Jordan Peterson, someone that basically said that like, unless you've experienced some sort of fame, you do not understand. Like, it's one of those things that you just couldn't like complain to people about, because they'd just be like, hey man, you've got it all. But it's like, no, it's like it comes with so many negatives as well. Like, it's like, you think that it's cool having fans chase you around, you would get over it. And especially when you're like, you know, like if you're just trying to eat, this is not the same thing, but I'll say it anyways. This is as close as I've got to being a celebrity. And it's like when Daisy was a puppy and we would go to the markets, and I'm like, I just want to walk through and get my food without getting bugged. But every second person was like, golden retriever. And it was like, it was cute and funny and stuff for the first like 10 minutes. But like an
You stopped
hour,
coming to the markets.
it was too much.
And imagine that on a worldwide scheme. So like my island, you can there's technology, but like there's no like, I don't know, cellular, like, so like phone, well, I don't know how you would patrol it. But do you reckon a rich person would help me build this island? I reckon. And you make
Do you-
sure.
It
it's
feels like
a-
this would probably be already
We
a
don't
thing.
know about
We
it.
don't know. We're just not on the inner.
One day.
But yeah, maybe one day.
I just want to build the island. I don't care about the famous people.
Yeah, you just end up, you're like, you have the right intentions. You're like, I'm going to really look after the famous people. You build the island and you're like, I like this for myself.
I just want to build them a safe place. I don't want to actually see the famous people. I couldn't care less. I just want to build you a safe place so it feels like you can go get a carton of milk and then.
If
just
there's
be like,
ever been anyone who would be better suited to meet a famous person, it's probably you, because you, first of all, I think you've served Brad Pitt and you didn't know that you served Brad Pitt.
ask for his coffee name.
He would have been like,
He's like,
he would have been like, you were like, and just a name for that, and he would have been like, I have not been asked for my name in 30 years. You're like, a name.
he's like, Brad. Like, sweet.
And he was, you told me he was getting a takeaway coffee, and then he's like, after you said that, he's like, I might actually go and sit down.
He goes, instead of takeaway, can I make that done in?
It's like, these people are idiots. They don't know who I am. Oh dear. So yeah, famous island. That's a goal. That's a goal to tie it all back together. But yeah, that was kind of. I think that was it. That was like my my little analysis of the Swifties, which apparently have you you, I always go to say, like, if you don't know anything when it comes to pop culture, but you got to be careful, apparently, saying anything about Taylor Swift, because the Swifties,
We'll get you.
oh man,
They're everywhere.
they come and little white girls, just like It's like- but yeah, so yeah, we'll hopefully the Swifties don't come after us for this. But yeah, we love you.
You're one of us. Really.
You're one of us. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that's it.
Well, no, we've got the nerding out section, new segment. For those
Oh yes.
for-
Okay.
For those that have made it this far, welcome.
Okay. So yeah.
That's what you say, isn't it?
That's what I say. But yeah, if you make it to this far in the episode, you're probably a nerd like us, and we want to start going a little bit deeper into the things that we're learning, the tools that we're using, the things that we're reading, things like that. So the thing that I'm nerding out to this week is Ali Abdaal's new book, Feel Good Productivity, right up my alley. Right up my alley.
Just you're like, this is you looked at me last night and you're like, this is a really good book.
It is.
It's not for me.
I was going to get you to read it.
Oh, really?
No, you can do what you want. I don't really care. But he is coming out okay, so it's a book on productivity, been done a million times before. The reason I think this one is quite good is he is coming at it from an angle that I haven't read before, I don't think has been documented. And it's like essentially going back to like what we were saying about even with the goal stuff. It's like if you want to be productive and if you want to achieve really good things, you're going to have to figure out a way to make it fun and enjoy it along the way.
It's like gamifying it, right?
Gamifying it and just like coming up with little ways to not get out of hard work, but make the hard work a little bit more enjoyable. So like what he was referring to in the start of the book, a story that he was telling was like when he was a doctor and he basically was like, he'd worked really hard to get there. And then like once he got into the role, he was like, this is really hard work. And he's like, I know all this stuff about productivity, but I'm working really hard, but like the work's just piling up. Like I'm not getting through it anymore. And it was just, he just tried to work harder, grind. And he's like, just ended up burning himself out and like not enjoying it whatsoever. And then he sort of remembered some of the stuff that he'd read in the past about, you know, about when we're more creative, when we're having fun and when we're enjoying things. And this is obviously, I'm only just started the book, so I haven't got too far into it yet. And basically what he did was try and figure out ways to make his job a little bit more enjoyable. Like when he was filling out forms or whatever, he would put like Lord of the Rings music in and things like that. And just do little things to just make it more enjoyable. And then all of a sudden it wasn't this grind. He didn't find himself at the end of the day. Like, you know how some days when we work and it's just like, God, that was unenjoyable. Like I'm just wiped out. Trying to work out ways to do that. And then in doing so, if you just naturally make things enjoyable, you're just going to get more done. You're going to be more productive. And that's kind of like the premise of the book.
And again, with like the progress thing, you can tick more off.
100%. It's yeah. So that's what I'm sort of nerding out to at the moment. What do you?
I was just gonna say, I think we should attach some links below if we can of different videos that we've found that has helped us through the goals.
Yeah.
Because it's all well and good to hear it from us, but if you want to actually hear where
if you're anything like us and you want to go a little bit deeper on this stuff, because again, with this show, we are trying to make it a little bit more, not as like deep and nitty gritty as something that you would see obviously on like a Huberman or any other person out there that's putting out that kind of information. We want to make this a little bit more easily digestible, so to speak. So we will leave some links below to resources that we've learnt this stuff from, even some like goal setting worksheets that we've utilized, like the 90-day worksheet and stuff like that was really helpful for us last year. And yeah.
And some books that we recommend. Yeah.
Yep. Cool. Well, with that being said, if you made this far, we really appreciate you.
Thank you.
And we'll Happy New Year, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.
I was going to say bye to the middle one.